Hey Scottsdale students, this is Stephanie here, and I'm so happy that you guys are joining us for our study in James. I'm so excited to go through this book. It's one of my favorite books in the Bible, and I think it's so applicable to what we're going through right now. And so it's so cool that we get to walk through this together, and I think that God's trying to teach us so much through this. And so hopefully if you're tuning in at this point, you've already gone through the first week of our James study. It's covering James 1 through 12. And what we want to do in this time is hear from you guys. You can comment during the course of this video. We want to hear from you what really impacted you, what stood out to you in this first chunk of James, what's God trying to teach you. And then throughout the course of the weeks, Tucker and I are going to be going back and forth and talking about what really stood out to us, and kind of just trying to guide us together as a community through this study in James. And so I get the honor to do this first, and I'm so excited because I think that Francis Chan did an incredible job. It's Francis Chan, so right, of course he did a great job, but he did a great job covering these first 12 verses, and I love what he had to say. And so I'm gonna mostly focus in on the first part of the video, the first part of James 1 through 12. I love starting out in verse 2, and I'm reading in the NIV. Sorry, left my ESV Bible at work. But it starts out in verse 2, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." What a perfect verse to start out with as we are walking through this entire season of the corona epidemic, pandemic, whatever you want to call it. Consider it joy when you're going through trials. This is a trial right now. And when this all first started happening, if I'm being honest, I was just angry. I was angry and I was sad because I didn't want to have to go through this trial. I didn't want to have to not be in community. I am so sad that we don't get to see you guys on Wednesday nights, that we don't get to see you on Sunday mornings. I know I can speak for our entire student, I'm kind of getting teary-eyed thinking about it. I'm still so sad that we don't get to see you guys and we don't get to interact with you. But even in the midst of the sadness, we can count this as joy. We can look at this season as a time of joy because of what Francis Chan was talking about. When we go through trials, we know that it's a testing of our faith. And I think sometimes we hear this idea of the testing of our faith, and we're I don't I don't like that. I don't like the idea of that. But the book of James here is telling us no, this is a good thing. Trials are a good thing. That's so countercultural to what the rest of our world tells us, but the Bible is telling us this is a good thing because the testing of your faith will produce perseverance. And I love how Francis Chan goes into this idea of testing and this whole silversmith idea. And if you don't remember that, I'm going to play the clip for you right now, and then we're going to talk about it. So check it out.
And this term for testing is an interesting word because it's a term that the silversmiths would use back then, where they would test silver. And the way they would test silver is they'd put a bunch in a pot, and they would heat it up with this fire. And what happens is at a certain temperature, all of the impurities, the dross they would call, would rise to the surface, and the silversmith would just kind of scoop that top layer off, and then he would heat the silver up again, and he would do this over and over again until the silver was tested or pure. And the way he knew that the silver was actually tested was he would look down and he could see his own reflection in the silver. And I just find that such a beautiful picture, because the idea of these trials in our lives, he says, is God testing you, purifying you. And as you go through them, the idea is one day he could look down and see his own reflection.
All right, so he talks about this idea of during testing, in if you're a silversmith, that there's this process of silver is a precious metal, right? It's something that we find really valuable, but it doesn't start out pure. It doesn't start out valuable. It's over the silversmith taking time to test it and test it and test it and put it through fire, put it through trials, that all of these impurities start to rise to the surface. And he does it again and again and again. And once the silver is fully pure, the silversmith is able to look and see his own reflection in that. And when I first heard that, I was just like, ugh. Like I started instantly feeling joy from the testing that we're in, because I'm like, man, if this testing is going to make me look more like Jesus, like if after this trial Jesus is going to be able to look at me and see more of himself reflected, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Like, give me the trial, give me whatever, because I want to look more like Jesus at the end of this. And I think just processing through that has turned my anger and my sadness into this sense of joy, because without this trial that we're going through right now, we wouldn't be able to have our faith stronger. We wouldn't be able to look more like Jesus on the other end. And so just my encouragement, like, well, for myself, but also my encouragement for all of you is that, like, don't take this time that we're going through, don't take this trial that we're going through right now and waste it on being sad and angry. And it's okay to feel those things, right? But don't waste this time that we have being sad, being angry, being upset, spending all of your time on Netflix and Instagram and TikTok. Like, don't waste this time. Take this trial and lean into God's word, lean into praying more, lean into being more encouraging in your community, even though it's going to be digital. Like, take this time to learn more about Jesus. Take this time to have your faith grow and have your faith be tested and have joy in this time. Because I think as Christians, when we do that, and if collectively as the Christian church, we can have joy in this time, we're going to come out the other end looking more like Jesus. And I'm confident that more people are going to come to know Jesus because of this entire trial, are going to have a deeper faith because of this entire corona epidemic. And that makes me excited. And so I want us to be, Scotts Hill students, a group of people that can be excited in the midst of trials. That sounds so crazy to say, but I want us to be excited that this is happening, because we know it's an opportunity to know Jesus more and to look more like him on the other side of this. I also love, he kind of like ends this where, like, God's idea and his hope for us is not to make us happy. Like, God's job is not to make us happy, it's to make us holy. And that's what's happening right now, and that's an exciting thing in and of itself. And so it's crazy to say, but once again, let's be excited. Let's be joyful in this time, and let's find new and creative ways to grow our faith and to encourage others in this time. So I hope that this was encouraging for you. Please keep on sending in comments. We want to keep on hearing what was most encouraging for you through this first part of the study, and we'll keep responding to you guys as well. And honestly, if you just like want to chat, please reach out. Tucker and I would love to just DM or text or whatever. We're still here for you guys, and we want to continue walking in community together. But until then, make sure that you continue in week 2 of this study, where Tucker is going to recap it on Thursday at 4 p.m. And we will see you guys there. All right, thanks guys. We love you. You matter. Till next time. Sorry guys, I also totally forgot that we have extra content that you can go through with this Devo, and we are going to post the link for how you can access it in the description box below. So if you want to continue diving into this and you want to do more of a study guide, make sure you click on that link below and walk through that content. That's all. See you guys later.